Do you all want to see how I can take this and turn it into so much more? The $100 challenge starts now. Welcome into Lemons to Lemonade Furniture. My name is Kara, and flipping furniture out of our garage in Dallas, Texas has allowed our family to reach financial freedom. Come along with us and I'll show you how it's done. For my $100 challenge piece, I finally got my hands on a Dixie Dresser. I've been looking for one of these for a really long time, and just a little bit of history about Dixie Furniture. The company started in 1901 out of North Carolina, and they went out of business in 1987. The height of their furniture career was easily in the mid-60s. Most of the furniture was made out of pressboard and laminate, so their buying price was really reasonable at the time. And they have a really good resale value because of their very unique shape to the furniture. So I was really excited to finally get my hands on one of these and see what I can do with it. Today's $100 challenge is hosted by the lovely Sab at Sab's Rehab. Be sure to check out her channel, and also there's a playlist link below that will have all the other wonderful furniture flippers that have participated in this challenge today, so be sure to check that out. This piece has sat in my garage for a while, so I'm giving it a really good clean with some Simple Green to make sure I get all the dirt and grime off of this. I like to make sure that my pieces are really well cleaned, so if you are new to furniture flipping, you want to make sure that you take apart all the drawers and the insides and wipe everything down. I don't like to send people home with my cobwebs, so I try really hard to make sure that my surface is perfect, and that really helps make sure that your paint is going to adhere well also. I'm removing the vintage hardware, and I'm definitely going to keep these. They are so cute. But like you saw at the bottom, they had lost some of the hardware and used zip ties as the poles, so I will have to find new poles for this dresser. The top of the dresser had some deeper gouges that required Bondo wood filler on this instead of just the basic wood fill. Bondo is a two-part epoxy that you mix together, and you have to work really quick before this stuff firms up, but it does allow for a firmer hold on pieces that have bigger chunks missing like this one. Since I know I'm going to have to replace this hardware, as I'm probably not going to find anything with the same diameter as these old poles, I use some Minwax basic wood fill on the hardware holes just so I have a nice smooth finish to start with. It's sanding day. I'm going to try to get all this sanding done before my neighbors get home so I don't totally annoy them. I'm going to start off with my Makita orbital sander. I've got a 240 grit sanding pad on here, and we'll see what we can get through with this. I might need a 180, but I'm afraid to start with a 180. So I'm going to start a little higher and see if this will get the job done.
I started with the 220 grit sandpaper because, like I stated before, the Dixie dressers are made out of really thin laminate, and it's no exception with this one. And when they have thin laminate on the top, you have to worry about what's called burning through the veneer. And basically that means that your sandpaper is too low of a grit, and you take off all of the veneer all the way down to whatever happens to be underneath. And underneath the veneer in my case is particle board. So I don't want to burn through this veneer all the way to the particle board, because then I'll cause myself more prep work before I can start painting this piece. So I just kept it at the 220 grit sandpaper and went slow through the Bondo so I didn't have to worry about any burn through. I decided on a more natural look for the feet of this dresser, so we flipped it upside down so that I could work on this with my sander. I'm using my Surfprep 3x4 Ray sander to make a quick work of these rounded feet. You can visit the Surfprep website using the link below and be sure to enter code LEMONS to LEMONADE 10 at checkout and you'll save 10% off all of your purchases. For this flip, I'm going to be using Sherwin-Williams Color of the Year in Evergreen Fog. I have this in the Krylon Chalky Finish chalk paint. I picked this up at my local Sherwin-Williams. Most of them will carry this product. The Evergreen Fog is a light sage green mixed with a little bit of gray undertones. It's a really great neutral color that tends to go well with brown or gray home interiors. And I'm going to admit something right off the bat. I should have primed this piece. Normally, if I've got different textures going on like I see on this one, it's best to prime. Luckily, I work a lot with this Sherwin-Williams paint, so I don't usually have issues with bleed through unless it is just a piece that is going to bleed, like a cherry or something darker. I didn't have any bleed through on this, but if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have primed just to ensure that I'm not going to have any issues in the future. It took 3 coats of evergreen fog to achieve full coverage on this piece. I waited about 3 hours in between each coat. For the drawer fronts, I decided to go with a paint wash. I used equal parts evergreen fog to water. I wanted a little bit of that wood grain to show through to tie together the really cool detail we're about to add to this dresser. Stay tuned. For the paint wash technique, I'll cover the first drawer all the way in paint and then wipe it back quickly with a lint-free cloth. You can continue using this technique until you get to the desired color that you're hoping for. I had a really neat design pattern in mind for the front of this, made out of some trim pieces that I picked up from Lowe's. But at the beginning of this, I got really sick. So Chris stepped in and finished the design work for me on the front. But let's be honest, he's the perfectionist in this marriage anyways. So he was the perfect one to take over at this part, I was so grateful as I ended up being in bed for about a week. Anyways, so these are just some trim pieces from Lowe's that we had, and we cut them down to size and made this really cool pattern on the front. I searched and searched for some knobs to match the original vintage look of this dresser. I couldn't find anything that I absolutely loved, so I decided to settle on these natural wooden colored knobs I found on Amazon. I ended up putting a few coats of the evergreen fog on them, and I really wanted them to blend in with the color of the dresser so that it was the star pattern on the front that would stick out. I don't know, I went back and forth about this decision a little bit. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you think I made the right choice in the end. To fill in the nail holes on the trim pieces, I used a little bit of Varathane natural wood putty.
Dresser's almost finished. It's time to put some polyurethane on it for some protection. I'm gonna get the poly on, and I am just really thrilled that he had this idea and ran with it this week, because I ended up getting a terrible head cold. You can hear I'm kind of still recovering, but I had to get out of bed. I had to do something today. So I'm up. It's my turn to put the polyurethane on it. This is what I'm going to use. Helmsman Minwax water-based polyurethane in the clear satin formula, so it doesn't have, it kind of looks like a matte when it's dry, which is nice, so it's not really shiny. So let's get this thing polyed and ready to go.
I applied 2 coats of polyurethane to this dresser, waiting about 4 to 6 hours in between coats. Alright guys, before the big reveal, here is my 1960s Dixie dresser that I snatched up for the bargain price of $30, and here is the after.
My total investment on this piece comes out to $85 with the piece of furniture and all the supplies that I used. I plan on listing this one on Facebook Marketplace for around $500, and that should give us a profit around $415 by the end of the day. If you've hung out with me for a while, you know that that's going right towards our retirement fund as we continue to bump up our 401k savings. Be sure to check out my new 2-minute inspirational flips if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Lemons to Lemonade Furniture.